On a Wednesday morning in September 2019, a contractor arrived at 5 Ashwood Close to begin extending the rear garden. He had visited 2 weeks earlier to give the quote. He had told the homeowners it was a lovely, quiet street. At 9 a.m., working at a depth of 2 meters, he struck something in the soil. It was not pipe. It was not structural debris. Patricia Holt had been in that garden for 30 years. Patricia Holt was 41 years old in March 1989 when she disappeared from 7 Ashwood Close, 2 doors from the garden where she was found 30 years later. She was a primary school teaching assistant. She had lived on the same street for 8 years. She knew her neighbors by name. She called her sister Margaret in Scotland every Sunday evening.
On a Tuesday in March, she did not arrive for work. Her curtains had not opened. 2 days of milk bottles had collected at her front door. Her next-door neighbor at number 6 told police she had mentioned visiting her sister in Scotland. Margaret had not heard from her. The 1989 investigation was brief. Patricia Holt was an adult woman. There was no evidence of violence at her home. Her car was on the drive. No note had been found. The residents of Ashwood Close were spoken to in turn. Dennis Crane, 44, a lorry driver at number 5, told officers he had seen Patricia's car in the drive on the Monday evening before she was reported missing. He did not recall seeing her afterward. He expressed no surprise that she had gone. The conclusion reached by officers in 1989 was that Patricia Holt had left of her own accord. Her file was closed.
Dennis Crane continued to live at 5 Ashwood Close until his death from a cardiac event in February 2018. He died 18 months before the contractor arrived with a spade. For 30 years, Ashwood Close looked the way quiet streets look: unchanged, unhurried, ordinary. Children played in the cul-de-sac. New families moved into houses that older families had left. The trees planted when the estate was built grew considerably taller. Patricia Holt was in the garden of number 5 through all of it. In September 2019, the new owners of the Crane property began renovations. The contractor noted that the soil in the rear section had been compressed and settled differently from the surrounding ground. At a depth of 2 meters and 14 centimeters, he stopped digging. Forensic and dental analysis confirmed the identification of Patricia Holt 3 weeks after the discovery. She had been missing from Ashwood Close for 30 years. She had not left. The 1989 investigation was re-examined in full. Dennis Crane's brief statement was read again, now against the knowledge of what had been in his garden. 2 former residents of Ashwood Close, interviewed separately in 2019, independently recalled that in the spring of 1989, there had been a smell from the direction of the Crane garden. Both had assumed it was something ordinary. Neither had mentioned it at the time. Patricia's sister Margaret had received a diary in the post from Patricia approximately 2 months before her disappearance. Patricia had written that she was clearing out old things. Margaret kept it.
The diary's last entry is dated 2 weeks before Patricia disappeared. He was at the door again tonight. I didn't answer. Patricia Holt, final diary entry, in evidence. The diary is in evidence. Dennis Crane is dead. No charge has been brought. The investigation is formally active under cold case review. Patricia Holt has been identified and returned to her family. The question of what happened in the garden of 5 Ashwood Close in March 1989 has not been answered in a court of law. The primary person of investigative interest cannot be questioned. He died before the contractor arrived. Margaret is now in her late 70s. She has kept the diary in the same box in which it arrived, posted from Ashwood Close 2 months before the final entry was written.
She kept it for 30 years, not knowing what it contained in relation to her sister's disappearance. She knows now.
If you have information about a cold case disappearance, contact your local police force. The investigation into Patricia Holt's death is active under formal review. The diary is in evidence. The case is open. 30 years, 12 houses, 4 original households still on the street when the forensic tent went up in the garden of number 5. He was at the door again tonight. I didn't answer. The last line she wrote, 2 weeks before March 1989. A contractor called it a lovely, quiet street. He said it before he knew what the street had been keeping.